What? Have you ever felt a tremor in the foundations of reality? A whisper that the stories we've been told are meticulously crafted illusions, concealing something far more profound. Perhaps a nagging sense that history, as we know it, is a stage play with crucial scenes missing, characters miscast, and a narrative deliberately skewed. You are not alone. Ancient cryptic mysteries pulse beneath the surface of our perceived world. Secrets deemed too volatile, too paradigm-shattering for the masses to comprehend. Consider the fallen angels. What if these legendary beings, traditionally portrayed as banished villains, cast down from grace, were not the architects of evil we've been led to believe, but rather something else entirely? Imagine a truth so potent, so subversive, it has been suppressed for millennia. These celestial entities, whose origins lie shrouded in myth and whispered in legend, may have been pivotal in sculpting the very bedrock of human civilization. But who are these fallen angels really? What if their fall was not a descent into darkness, but a deliberate act of defiance with unforeseen consequences? What if these exiled beings descended to Earth not as destroyers, but as catalysts for human evolution? Could these enigmatic figures have secretly influenced everything from the dawn of ancient civilizations to the intricate tapestry of modern society? Intrigued? The closer you get to this truth, the more elusive it becomes, as if guarded by invisible forces. Prepare to confront a shocking revelation that could redefine your understanding of everything you thought you knew. Do you feel the pull of the unknown? If you dare to uncover the hidden truth, brace yourself for a revelation that has been deliberately concealed. This is not a myth. This is the untold story of the fallen angels, the narrative they desperately tried to bury. Hold on tight, because the journey into forbidden knowledge is about to begin. The truth about the fallen angels, the secret they fought to keep hidden. To truly grasp the astonishing influence these celestial beings may have wielded in shaping the foundations of ancient civilizations, we must be willing to dismantle our preconceived notions, venturing into realms where history, myth, and divine rebellion intertwine. These beings, enigmatic, exiled, and immensely powerful, were not mere footnotes in ancient texts, but active participants in a cosmic drama that shaped the spiritual infrastructure of humanity's earliest belief systems. What if the cradle of civilization itself was guided not only by kings and sages, but also subtly directed by the covert actions of angels who challenged the heavens? Within the sacred and often perplexing depths of the Judeo-Christian tradition, one of the most revealing accounts of these fallen entities is not found in the widely circulated canon, but within a text long relegated to the shadows: the apocryphal book of Enoch. This ancient work, attributed to Enoch, the seventh patriarch from Adam and great-grandfather of Noah, is a repository of forgotten truths and divine revelations. Why was this crucial book omitted from most modern Bibles? And more importantly, what inconvenient truths does it contain that certain powers may have sought to suppress? As you navigate its verses, the narrative takes a profoundly unsettling turn. In Enoch 6-1, a dramatic scene unfolds beneath the silent expanse of a long-forgotten age. And it came to pass, when the children of men had multiplied, that in those days were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters. And the angels, the children of the heaven, saw and lusted after them, and said to one another, Come, let us choose us wives from among the children of men, and beget us children. This moment marks a transgression of cosmic proportions, an irreversible breach of boundaries between the immortal and the mortal, the sacred and the profane. But pause and consider, what manner of beings were these angels who not only observed humanity from their celestial perch, but yearned to possess it so intensely that they willingly abandoned their place in paradise? Could this ancient text be hinting that these were not mere ethereal spirits, but corporeal, tangible entities who walked among our ancient ancestors? If so, how many myths and legends we casually dismiss as mere fantasy might actually be veiled accounts of forgotten encounters with the divine? Their desire was not merely symbolic. It was visceral, carnal, and ultimately catastrophic. The Watchers, as they are known, did not act impulsively. They formed a pact, a covenant of rebellion, vowing to carry out this forbidden act in unison. This was not a lapse in judgment. It was a calculated movement, and the ramifications of their decision would reverberate throughout history and echo into eternity. But what drove them to such a radical choice? Was it love, lust, envy, a sense of cosmic injustice, or something far more enigmatic? This passage, though seemingly concise, is explosive in its implications. It not only unveils the forbidden desires of heaven's sons, but it exposes a truth even more unsettling: that these angels were not abstract symbols of virtue or wrath, but real embodied beings capable of experiencing the full spectrum of emotions, capable of touching, feeling, and yes, even falling. Why has this truth been buried for so long? And what other profound secrets remain hidden within the shadows of Scripture and time? The Book of Enoch chronicles a chilling saga, venturing far beyond mere celestial rebellion and into the treacherous territory of divine intervention in human affairs. It recounts how a legion of angels, led by the powerful and enigmatic Samsa, descended not in silence, but in unified defiance upon the majestic heights of Mount Hermon. There, under the watchful gaze of the stars and the silent approval of the heavens, they enacted a pact that would shatter the delicate divide between heaven and earth. These divine beings took mortal women as wives, not out of fleeting curiosity, but with premeditated intent, and through them introduced to humanity a flood of forbidden wisdom, metallurgy, enchantments, the crafting of weaponry, astrology, beautification techniques, and sorcery. But what was the true cost of this unholy exchange? And did mankind ever fully comprehend the magnitude of what it had received? This act, this divine trespass, was not a minor infraction. It was perceived as a cataclysmic violation of divine law, an act of rebellion so profound that it initiated a chain of events leading to their ultimate downfall. Their union with humanity was not merely an affair of desire, but a pact with irreversible consequences. What does it signify when heavenly beings abandon their sacred posts to dwell among the transient sons and daughters of the dust? Could this be the precise moment when heaven's idealized perfection collided with the untamed chaos of earth, forever altering the trajectories of both? Although much of this narrative is preserved within the Book of Enoch, the canonical Bible does not entirely ignore it. Rather, it alludes to it, veiled in brief but potent phrases that beckon deeper inquiry. Genesis 6:1-2 states, "When human beings began to increase in number on the earth, and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of humans were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose. These sons of God, frequently interpreted by ancient Jewish scholars as angels, fathered a race known as the Nephilim, beings whose very name resonates with power, mystery, and a sense of primordial dread. The word Nephilim itself, often translated as the fallen or giants, evokes a haunting presence that spans millennia. These were not merely men of great stature, but entities of immense influence, straddling the tenuous veil between the celestial and the terrestrial. How did their existence reshape the world around them? Were they revered as heroes, feared as abominations, or something far more complex? Genesis 6:4 elaborates, "The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children by them. They were the heroes of old, men of renown." But what kind of renown was this? Divine honor or cursed infamy? Their legacy was not only carved in stone, but etched in fear. These beings, the offspring of a forbidden union, stood as walking paradoxes, part divine, part mortal. Their strength, their size, their unparalleled knowledge, it all disrupted the natural order. Were they protectors or destroyers, gifts from the heavens or harbingers of its wrath? Could the chaos they unleashed be a primary reason why God was deeply grieved by his creation of man? This eerie lineage is repeatedly connected to one of the Bible's most devastating judgments, the Great Flood. As evil proliferated across the earth, corruption permeated the human soul, and violence engulfed the land, a divine decision was reached. The Genesis narrative describes God observing a world spiraling into madness, where his creation no longer reflected its intended purpose. Was it the corrupting influence of the Watchers and the Nephilim that tipped the scales towards destruction? Did their presence accelerate the erosion of mankind's moral compass? The flood was far more than a mere deluge. It was a reset button, a divine reckoning aimed not solely at sinful humanity, but also at the unnatural offspring and the fallen angels who imparted knowledge humanity was never meant to possess. What secrets were submerged beneath those cataclysmic waters? And what echoes of that ancient rebellion still resonate within the ruins of ancient myths and the unexplained structures scattered across the globe? The presence of the Nephilim in ancient scripture has long been interpreted as more than a simple historical anomaly. It is often seen as a spiritual warning, a stark reminder of how far the world can deviate from divine harmony. Their existence, resulting from an unnatural union between the sons of God and the daughters of men, became a symbol of the distortion of creation itself. It was as if their very breath defied the symphony God intended. Were they the byproduct of heavenly rebellion? Or were they a weapon deployed in that cosmic conflict? And what profound power did they truly wield, that their birth could shake the heavens and seal the earth's doom? Many scholars and ancient interpreters believe the Nephilim played a pivotal role in the moral unraveling of pre-flood civilization. These beings, possessing a blend of celestial and human attributes, wielded not only immense physical strength, but also unparalleled knowledge and influence that elevated them above ordinary mortals. Yet, this superiority was not utilized for divine justice or the pursuit of wisdom. Instead, they became beacons of hubris, leading mankind further down a treacherous path of pride, bloodshed, and spiritual ruin. As their numbers swelled, so too did the tide of corruption. Could it be that humanity, captivated by their sheer power and apparent divinity, forgot how to listen to the voice of God? Genesis 6-5 offers a sobering perspective. The Lord saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become on the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of the human heart was only evil all the time. This is no insignificant statement. Some interpretations suggest that the Nephilim, with their dominating presence and semi-divine status, played a direct role in this catastrophic downfall. By dominating societies, teaching forbidden practices, and instigating violence, they helped cultivate a world so devoid of light that divine intervention became the only viable recourse. Not just a cleansing, but a complete reset. The flood, therefore, was not merely an act of punishment. It was divine surgery, excising a cancerous growth from creation to safeguard what remained salvageable. Could this explain why their extinction is emphasized so explicitly? Could their annihilation represent the symbolic restoration of a cosmic order that had been profoundly violated? And yet, the tale of the Nephilim did not simply vanish with the receding floodwaters. Their legend persists across continents and civilizations, whispered through the pages of mythologies, inscribed on ancient tablets, and passed down through generations via oral traditions. From Mesopotamia to the far reaches of ancient Greece, echoes of these hybrid beings emerge under different names: giants, titans, demigods. In some cultures, they are revered as ancient champions, almost divine in their majesty. In others, they are cursed and feared as monstrous figures from a forgotten age. Why is this seemingly universal story retold in so many different languages and across so many diverse lands? How is it that cultures with no apparent connection to the Hebrew tradition still harbor vivid memories of towering beings with divine ancestry and destructive tendencies? Were the Nephilim a shared memory of something the entire world once knew and subsequently tried to erase from its collective consciousness? The tension between reverence and fear, between awe and cautionary warnings, is what renders the Nephilim such enduring figures. They stand as potent symbols of unchecked power, violated boundaries, and a divine order thrown into disarray. Could their story be more than just ancient history? Might it serve as a mirror, reflecting our own age, where humanity once again teeters on the brink of forbidden knowledge and unbridled ambition? The enduring question of whether the Nephilim actually walked the earth has captivated thinkers and researchers for centuries. Their story exists on the periphery of belief and skepticism, where scripture, archaeology, and folklore converge. Some dismiss them as pure myth, allegorical at best, while others remain convinced that physical remnants of their existence are still hidden in plain sight. Could it be that we are surrounded by whispers of their long-lost presence, and we have simply chosen to ignore the subtle clues? Throughout history, provocative clues have surfaced, fragments of something undeniably ancient and powerful, adding further mystique to their already enigmatic legacy. Are there tangible archaeological discoveries that might serve as remnants of these legendary giants? Oversized weapons, enormous fossilized footprints, and colossal architectural feats that seemingly defy human capability. While often labeled as circumstantial, these findings offer compelling, albeit controversial, evidence of a race that once challenged the limitations of humanity. Are these anomalies merely random occurrences from the distant past? Or are they deliberate signs left behind by a forgotten order? One of the most compelling categories of evidence is found in the form of colossal weaponry unearthed across various continents. These are not the ornate ceremonial swords of kings or the meticulously crafted displays of warlords. These swords, spears, and axes are massive to the point of absurdity. far too impractical for any known human to effectively wield. For instance, within the sacred Kibitsu Shrine in Ibaraki Prefecture, Japan, rests an enormous sword known as the Nodachi, measuring over 12 feet in length and weighing more than 30 pounds. This weapon clearly surpasses the limits of what a normal warrior could realistically wield. Was this a ceremonial tribute to a powerful deity, or a tool once gripped in the hand of a giant? The Nodachi holds a prominent place in Japanese folklore, often associated with ancient warriors of immense strength and divine lineage. But could it also be a forgotten relic of the Nephilim, those described in Genesis as the mighty men of old, men of renown? If such beings genuinely walked the earth, wouldn't it be logical to assume they would have left behind tools proportional to their enormous stature? Another intriguing example emerges from Europe: the Finnsburg sword discovered in northern Germany. This imposing weapon stretches over 7 feet in length and weighs more than most modern-day combat equipment. Its sheer size renders it virtually unusable for an average-sized human, prompting many to speculate that it was either purely symbolic or specifically designed for beings of considerably larger physical dimensions. But symbolic of what? And for whom? And the evidence doesn't stop there. Museums across Europe discreetly house oversized axes and spears dating back to the Bronze and Iron Ages. These artifacts, with their elongated handles and massive blades, strongly suggest they were not designed for ceremonial purposes alone. In Greece, the Heraclean Archaeological Museum proudly displays giant double axes, artifacts that appear to have been crafted for hands far larger than our own. Similar tools have been unearthed in Denmark and even in Morocco. The existence of entire collections of oversized implements raises far more questions than it answers. Who were these tools originally crafted for? And why do so many ancient cultures seem to share the recurring theme of giants? But the evidence extends beyond mere weaponry. It can also be found in impressions left upon the earth itself. Near the town of Mphaluzi in South Africa lies a perplexing sight. What appears to be a massive human footprint embedded in solid granite, measuring nearly 4 feet in length. While some geologists attempt to dismiss it as a natural rock formation, its precise contours, remarkable depth, and clear alignment have sparked intense debate among believers. Could this be the literal footprint of a Nephilim? Is it truly plausible that solid granite could have been imprinted by the weight of a living being? The Bible itself reminds us in Numbers 13:33 that giants once instilled terror in the land's inhabitants. There we saw the giants, and we were like grasshoppers in our own sight, and so we were in their sight. Are these words mere metaphor, or are they a survivor's first-hand testimony of encountering a race that once dominated the earth? Beyond oversized footprints and forged steel lies perhaps the most perplexing evidence of all: colossal stone blocks and architectural marvels that defy conventional engineering understanding. The Baalbek stones in Lebanon, some weighing hundreds of tons each, continue to baffle engineers to this day. How were they transported? Who possessed the strength to lift and precisely arrange them, especially in a pre-industrialized world? Could this be the enduring legacy of beings with superhuman capabilities, beings such as the Nephilim? For those who believe that such relics are not mere coincidences or simply anomalies of ancient craftsmanship, they represent markers, messages, and echoes of a world once inhabited by giants, both feared and revered, whose very presence warped the natural laws we now take for granted. And the deeper we excavate into the earth and the past, the more it seems we are not unearthing fantastical illusions, but rediscovering forbidden truths long deliberately buried. But let us now refocus our attention back to the original instigators of this cosmic disruption, the very beings whose rebellious act gave rise to the Nephilim, the fallen angels themselves. Who were these celestial insurgents who dared to forsake the throne rooms of heaven for the temptations of earth? And what forbidden knowledge did they carry with them that irrevocably changed the course of human history? The roles attributed to these angels are as varied and layered as the legends that envelop them. While they are often cast as villains, they were not mere destroyers. They were also teachers, imparting secrets not meant for mortal comprehension. In many traditions, particularly within the Book of Enoch, these beings are portrayed as custodians of forbidden wisdom, descending not only to possess, but to enlighten. But was their teaching truly a gift, or a carefully disguised trap cloaked in the guise of progress? In Enoch's account, these angels engaged in far more than merely taking human wives. They shared knowledge that would forever alter the trajectory of humanity. They introduced mankind to skills and practices that, until that point, had been shrouded in heavenly secrecy. They opened the eyes of humanity, but did they simultaneously blind the soul in the process? Enoch 8:1 gives voice to one of the most notorious among them. And Azazel taught men to make swords, and knives, and shields, and breastplates, and made known to them the metals of the earth, and the art of working them, and bracelets, and ornaments, and the use of antimony, and the beautifying of the eyelids, and all kinds of costly stones, and all coloring tinctures. And this was not a minor exchange of trivial information. It was a divine unveiling of immense power, both seductive and potentially destructive. Azazel, a fallen prince among angels, did not simply teach mankind how to shape metals. He taught them how to dominate. He taught them the art of warfare, how to embellish the body, and how to manipulate beauty and allure. These were not innocent arts. These were tools of seduction, power, and control. What began as an act of enlightenment swiftly spiraled into a descent into corruption. Can we genuinely label it a gift if it severed humanity from its inherent innocence? With the introduction of weapons came the inevitable birth of bloodshed. With the introduction of cosmetics and jewelry came the rise of vanity, lust, and destructive competition. Suddenly, humanity was not merely focused on surviving. It was contending, striving, and seeking to overpower. This was no longer the idyllic Garden of Eden. It was a world irrevocably reshaped by knowledge it was never intended to possess. Have we ever paused to consider what profound price we paid for this so-called progress? What Azazel and the Watchers introduced was not simply technological advancement. It was a fundamental transformation. So, as we've journeyed through these ancient texts and intriguing mysteries, the story of the fallen angels emerges not as a simple tale of good versus evil, but as a complex narrative about forbidden knowledge, divine defiance, and the very foundations of human civilization. It's a story that challenges us to question what we think we know, to dig deeper into the hidden corners of history, and to consider the profound influence these enigmatic beings may have had on our world. What are your thoughts on this untold story? Do you have any questions sparked by this exploration? Or perhaps insights of your own to share? We'd love to hear your perspective, so please leave a comment below and join the discussion. And if this journey into the forbidden has piqued your interest, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future explorations into the hidden truths that shape our reality. We've only just begun to scratch the surface